How long do you, or on this particular project on Alphane, how long were you resting between attempts when you start to kind of properly go for it for big links and actual red points?
Yeah, it depends quite a lot. I can't this time round, which is probably where most people are most interested. I'm like probably not very. I can't really answer it because I essentially like kind of surprised myself with my first red point burn when I was meant to be just working the bottom, and then the next session when it I did it was the first go of the day. So like I was resting. Like I'd usually. It depends how far I get. If I get pumped, then it will be a really long time. Also, if I would get pumped, I usually wouldn't just rest and then go into it. I'd like rest a bunch and then like kind of pull on individual moves. And for some reason, I feel like if I've been really pumped and I just rest for like, I don't know, 40 minutes or something and then pull back on, I don't feel great. But if I will like rest for like half an hour, do like a few individual moves and then rest for 10 minutes, I might feel really good. So like really long rests, like usually if it was colder, I wouldn't rest for quite as long. It's quite warm at the moment, so it's okay. I don't cool down that much. It's a case of like resting a long time helps me cool down because it is hot. But when it's cold, I usually have less rest just because I can get cold quite easily.
In your projecting strategy, how well do you expect to have individual moves kind of dialed before you personally go, right, I'm now going to start calling this links and putting it together? Like, does it have to feel like 9 out of 10? So like 10's your absolute your limit. You're sort of almost like falling off the move. Is it a 9? Is it an 8? Is it 7? Or is it's sort of quite a nuanced factor? When do you go for it? Start going for it?
I have quite a high standard of it, so I don't like to do it until the moves feel like I've understood them enough that I can do them reliably, or maybe not reliably, but like I can execute them reliably. And the factor to fail is my physical strength, as opposed to like the physical strength for making links, as opposed to like the factor to fail is like me missing a trick within the move. So I usually got quite a high standard of myself in that, like, I like to make sure that I understand the moves before I start like linking things into them properly.
Burden of Dreams and Alphane are both 9A bolt problems.
Which I've tried.
Which you've tried and you have direct experience of. What do you think is the limiting factor on Burden of Dreams for you over Alphane? Because they're obviously very, very different boulder problems, and we know that.
Yeah, incredibly different boulders. There's a few things. I think partly when I went to go and try Burden of Dreams, I don't think I was climbing particularly well, which I think is a big role. I'd quite like to try it, like when I am going on like fighting fit form. It'd be quite interesting to see how it feels then. But Alphane, like I spoke about before, has the freedom to adapt it to the style in which you like to climb, whereas it felt like Burden didn't have that option. I think partly because it's shorter, the rock is very slick, so it kind of like limits you from playing around with that too much. And so I think there's way less places to hide. And Burden, I really do think exposed a lot of the weaknesses I spoke about, having pretty crap power before. Or it's definitely like one of my limitations. And you can't hide from that on Burden. So I think Burden really didn't suit me as well as I thought. I think Alphane definitely suits me a lot better.
How do you feel that this very hard shorter problems in the UK that you've established in that 8C plus range fit in relation to Burden?
I think Burden's a bit of an anomaly. Like the 9A grade is very elusive, so grading something 9A was like the thing. That the 8C pluses I have tried around the world, Alphane feels like a level above. Or like it feels like, maybe not, it definitely feels harder than the things that I have tried which have been graded 8C plus. Short 8C pluses I've tried, which are like kind of the moves are like the difficulty of it, Burden does feel a level above. Definitely feels a level above. I guess like, I think partly the nature of the climb felt like, I mean, if I found an 8B plus, which like exposed my weaknesses as far as Burden did, I have no doubt. I kind of feel like it's one of the cool things about climbing, really. Like there are generalists, but like all of us, nobody's like a perfect generalist. I don't reckon there's a single boulder in the world that could climb every 8B plus. Like there's like, or maybe even every 8B, I don't know. Like if you find something which like exposes your weakness enough, we're all crap in some way. And so like it's very hard for me to compare to Burden. Like I'm obviously not totally crap in that style, but like it feels like definitely exposed something that wasn't good. I wasn't very good at. And that's very different to the things that I have done in the UK. I think like comparing the things I've done in the UK to things I've tried abroad, I'd say that like I tried to make them relatively fair. That was my intention when I was grading them. I definitely, when I was younger, I had like the idea of like, it's kind of like, there's pride in like giving slightly stern grades to things, but
yeah.
I don't know, like we're all trying to like, I don't know, give our best guess for fair representation of how hard something is. So yeah, I just try and be as fair as I can with them, I guess. It is important, but it's a shame how important it feels to everyone. Or it feels like the most important thing to everyone else. And I think you kind of mentioned it before, but like, it's not that like all of that feedback detracts from the experience, but it feels like it kind of like, it places the emphasis elsewhere to like the fact you've achieved something you've invested a lot of time into. And it's like almost like, I don't know, that's brushed aside a little bit. So yeah, I like, even though I know it's not negative feedback, I always find it like when I just get like people like pestering, okay, I'm not going to use that pestering me out of grade. When I get people like who are solely just interested in the grades, I find myself, I'm a bit like, I'm deflated by those comments. And like, I know that's probably something like maybe it's something that I know I should like maybe put some more effort into, but yeah, and like it's my least favorite part of developing boulders.
Yeah, and I think it's also for people to, and I'm sure everyone listening also will understand this themselves if you really think about it, is that your relationship with an ascent, like a problem, boulder, route, whatever it is really different all the way through the journey, from the point where how you feel about it when you're projecting, you haven't done it, to just did it half an hour ago, to I did it a week ago, to I did it 2 years ago. And so your emotion and your feedback and how you want to communicate that, I think is really different, all those different stages along the journey. So naturally, at one point, you're going to be, oh yeah, I love talking about the grade and this bit of it. Another bit, you're like, no, I just want to talk about how I feel. I want to talk about the experience, and it sucks talking about the grade. I think it's just really normal.
I'm in that phase right now.
Yeah.
I've had such a great experience. But yeah, no, that's a nice way of putting it. And like, yeah, you go through like oscillations of like clarity and uncertainty. I've had that over the years with like, because it's something that is like relatively consistent, even if it is like 2 years after you've done something. Like